In the quiet suburbs of Columbus, Ohio, a storm was brewing in the heart of Alexandra Owen, a 28-year-old financial analyst at a prestigious investment firm. Her life was a testament to grit and sacrifice. But tonight, under a sky heavy with rain, something inside her was about to break. For years, she had told herself that if she worked hard enough, kept her head down, and pushed through the exhaustion, her family would finally see her worth. But that hope was a flickering candle in a hurricane. And tonight, it would be snuffed out. Alexandra grew up in the shadow of her older brother, Nathan, 4 years her senior. Nathan, a dreamer with a paintbrush and a dropout from a Chicago art school, drifted between barista jobs and gig deliveries, always chasing a vision that never materialized. Yet, in their mother Linda's eyes, Nathan was a misunderstood genius, a prodigy whose every failure was spun into a tale of creative rebellion. The manager didn't get his vision, Linda would say when Nathan quit yet another job, her voice brimming with pride. He's destined for greatness. Alexandra, on the other hand, was invisible. Her full-ride scholarship to Ohio State University? Dismissed with a sigh. Why'd you pick a school so far? The gas money's a burden. And Nathan needs new art supplies. Her dream job at a top-tier investment firm? Barely acknowledged. Sounds stressful, Linda muttered once, not looking up from her coffee. Just make sure you're around if Nathan needs you. The words, "I'm proud of you," were as foreign to Alexandra as a distant language, drowned out by the endless praise for Nathan's potential. The imbalance began when Alexandra was 16, when her father, Robert, a kind and brilliant engineer, died suddenly in a car accident. His laughter still echoed in the halls of their modest ranch-style home. But his absence left a void that Alexandra was forced to fill. While her high school friends were chauffeured to parties, Alexandra pedaled her bike through dark streets to a late-night diner job. Her hands raw from washing dishes, her body aching from exhaustion. Her first paycheck didn't go to prom dresses or concert tickets, it bought a used laptop. Her lifeline to keep up with school. No one asked if she was eating enough, if she was sleeping, if she was okay. But when Nathan, at 20, needed a sleek new laptop to restart his creative journey, Linda swiped her credit card without hesitation. This is essential for his art, she declared, as if Alexandra's sacrifices were just background noise. From that moment, Alexandra became the family's backbone, a role she never chose but couldn't escape. She paid the electric bill, fixed the leaky roof, and covered Nathan's endless art classes, while Linda's demands grew like weeds. This month's tight. Alex, can you send a bit extra? The requests were relentless, and Alexandra, desperate to honor her father's memory by keeping the family together, complied. She skipped meals, missed doctor's appointments, and watched her dream of owning her own apartment slip further away. All while Nathan lounged on the couch, sketching half-finished ideas that never saw the light of day. The breaking point came during a week-long business trip to New York. Alexandra was holed up in her hotel room, spreadsheets glowing on her laptop, when her phone buzzed with Linda's name. Her stomach sank. Alex, it's bad, Linda said, her voice trembling. The bank sent a final notice. We haven't paid the mortgage in months. They're going to take the house. Alexandra's heart stopped. That house, Robert's house, was where she'd learned to ride a bike in the driveway, where her dad's warm laughter had filled the air. What about the money I've been sending? She asked, her voice tight. A pause. Then, Linda's shaky reply. We were short on living expenses, and Nathan's new painting classes. Fury and betrayal churned in Alexandra's chest. But she pushed it down. How much? She asked, already dreading the answer. $40, Linda said. If we don't pay in a week, we lose the house. The house your father loved. Alexandra opened her banking app and stared at her savings, years of scrimping. Her ticket to a life of her own. Losing her father's home felt like losing him all over again. I'll send the money, she said, her voice hollow. But it has to go to the mortgage. Promise me. Linda's tone brightened instantly. Of course, honey, you're such a good daughter. The transfer went through, and Alexandra felt her dream of independence dissolve. She told herself it was worth it to save her father's legacy. But when she returned home, bone-tired and lugging groceries for Linda's favorite meals, she walked into a scene that shattered her. A shiny BMW sat in the driveway. And inside, Linda and Nathan were laughing with a stranger named Ethan, who called himself Nathan's art dealer. He's organizing a solo exhibit for me. Nathan beamed. We just need some upfront funding. Alexandra's blood ran cold. After Ethan left, Linda's face hardened. The $40 wasn't enough for the mortgage. She said coldly, we need more. Alexandra's hands shook, the grocery bags slipping from her grip. Not enough, she whispered. I sent the money. Where did it go? Linda's eyes narrowed. You make good money at that fancy firm. You're single. No responsibilities. We're struggling to keep this house. Nathan, sprawled in their father's old recliner, chimed in. We're family. Alex, isn't sharing what families do? The word, sharing, ignited something in her. Sharing? She snapped, her voice sharp as a blade. I've given everything, bills, repairs, your art classes. What have you ever given me? Linda's face twisted. How dare you speak to your brother like that? Get out. Don't come back. Stunned, Alexandra stumbled to her room, only to find it stripped bare. Her father's fountain pen, their family photos, her college diploma, gone. Where are Dad's things? She demanded, her voice breaking. Sold, Linda said flatly, to fund Nathan's exhibit. The betrayal cut deeper than any knife. Alexandra grabbed her suitcase, the weight of a decade's sacrifices crashing down. As she stepped into the rain, Nathan's sneer followed her, always so dramatic. But with each step, a strange lightness bloomed in her chest. The chains of duty she'd carried for years were breaking. In her car, Alexandra clutched the one keepsake she'd kept in her bag. A faded photo of her and Robert, smiling in the backyard. I hope this is what you wanted. Dad, she whispered, with steady hands. She blocked Linda and Nathan's numbers, drove to a hotel, and began to reclaim her life. The storm outside raged, but inside Alexandra, a new resolve was born, a fire that would light her way forward. Free from the weight of a family that had never seen her. The rain-soaked streets of Columbus, Ohio, mirrored the storm in Alexandra Owen's heart as she drove away from her father's house. A single suitcase in the backseat and a faded photo of her dad, Robert, tucked in her bag. At 28, the financial analyst had spent a decade carrying her family's burdens, only to be cast out by her mother, Linda, with the stinging accusation of selfishness. Get out and don't come back. Linda had spat, her words cutting deeper than the betrayal of selling Robert's keepsakes to fund Nathan's doomed art exhibit. But as Alexandra's tires hummed against the wet pavement, a fire sparked within her, a resolve to break free from the invisible chains that had bound her for years. In a quiet hotel room that night, Alexandra sat on the edge of the bed, her phone glowing with Linda and Nathan's contact names. Her thumb hovered over the screen, trembling not with fear but with clarity. She pressed block on both, the soft click of the button echoing like a gavel. No more late-night calls demanding money. No more sacrificing her dreams for a family that saw her as nothing more than a cash machine. She moved into a modest apartment near her firm, a one-bedroom haven with soft gray walls and a view of the Scioto River. For the first time since Robert's death, Alexandra brewed coffee just the way she liked it, black, no sugar, and opened her curtains to let the morning light flood in. The silence was glorious. No blaring TV. No Nathan's video game noise. No Linda's endless complaints. She was free. Weeks later, a discovery changed everything. Tucked in a dusty envelope from a law firm, Alexandra found a letter in her father's handwriting, delivered posthumously by Robert's old friend, attorney Daniel Harper. My beloved Alexandra, it began, Robert's warm voice echoing in her mind. If you're reading this, I'm gone. I've left the house to you, legally in your name. Let Linda and Nathan stay only if they treat you with respect. This is not a duty, but a kindness. Enclosed were notarized deeds confirming the truth. The house where she grew up, where Robert taught her to dream big, was hers. The revelation hit like lightning. Linda had known and still let Alexandra pour her savings into a home she was entitled to. The $40 she'd sent to save it? squandered on Nathan's luxuries, furniture, art supplies. A cruise he called inspiration. Fury surged, but so did power. Alexandra contacted her lawyer and sent a formal eviction notice to Linda and Nathan. The house was hers, and she was done being exploited. The confrontation came unexpectedly, like a thunderclap on a clear day. Alexandra was at her firm, reviewing a quarterly report, when the receptionist's voice crackled through the intercom. Ms. Owen. 2 people are here, a woman and a man. They say they're your mother and brother. Her heart skipped, but she steadied herself and met them in the lobby. Linda's eyes were red, her face a mask of desperation. Nathan stood beside her, arms crossed, his usual arrogance tinged with unease. Curious co-workers glanced through the glass walls as Alexandra led them to a conference room, shutting the door with a soft thud. What are you doing here? She asked, her voice low but firm. You came to my workplace unannounced. Linda's voice quavered. You wouldn't answer our calls. How else could we reach you after you sent that eviction notice? Nathan's face flushed. Evicting us? Are you serious? That's our home. Alexandra's gaze hardened. It's my home. Dad left it to me. And you knew that. For 10 years. I paid the bills, the repairs, your art classes. I sent $40 to save the house. And you spent it on a cruise. A TV. Nathan's so-called career. She slid a stack of bank statements across the table, each line a dagger. Resort bookings, high-end furniture, art development, fees. Linda's hands trembled. It was an emergency, she insisted weakly. A cruise isn't an emergency. Alexandra shot back, her voice ice-cold. Nathan stepped forward, his voice rising. You're betraying Dad's memory. He'd be ashamed. Alexandra's eyes flashed. Dad left the house to me because he knew you'd bleed me dry. He said you could stay if you respected me. Instead, you threw me out. Linda sobbed, covering her face. Where will we go? You're leaving us on the street. Alexandra stood, unshaken. That's your problem now. I've given enough. Nathan's voice dropped, menacing. This isn't over. I have rights. Alexandra opened the door. You have none. Leave, or I'll call security. As they shuffled out, Linda's final plea, if your father knew, was cut off by Alexandra's steady reply. He did know. That's why he protected me. She watched them leave, their figures shrinking in the polished lobby, and felt a weight lift from her shoulders. A year later, Alexandra's life was unrecognizable. She sold Robert's house, the memories too tainted by betrayal to keep. With the proceeds, she bought a sleek condo downtown, its floor-to-ceiling windows framing the Columbus skyline. A promotion at work followed, her colleagues applauding her sharp mind and relentless drive. The $40 lawsuit ended in her favor. Linda and Nathan were ordered to repay every cent, though their missed payments led to wage garnishment. Nathan, now 32, was a shadow of his former swagger, fired from his 5th job for tardiness, still whining about his unseen artistic vision. His art dealer, Ethan, had vanished when the upfront fees dried up, and Nathan's paintings gathered dust in a cramped apartment. Linda juggled 2 part-time jobs, barely scraping by, her calls to Alexandra growing desperate. Please, Alex, reduce the payments. We're struggling, she pleaded in a voicemail. Alexandra's response was calm but final. Where was your concern when I was struggling for a decade? You made your choices. She blocked the number again. One spring afternoon, Alexandra stood in her condo, sunlight streaming through the windows. On a shelf sat Robert's photo, his smile a quiet reassurance. It's okay, Dad, she whispered. I'm living for me now. She no longer dreamed of reconciliation. Linda and Nathan reached out only when their wallets were empty, not their hearts. Free from their chains, Alexandra walked her path with unshakable resolve, her future as bright as the city lights beyond her window.